So I thought this would be a good time while there's a slowdown of sorts of stuff coming in to show you a couple of my treasures. This is an Alvarez Yairi KY80, what is it? DY84K, is it D? Yeah, DY84K, sorry. And this is a dreadnought with a solid spruce top and koa back and sides. This is made by Kazuo Yairi in Japan, I think in the 80s. It's signed by him. Alvarez by Kazuo Yairi, and then it has the serial and the model number and then his signature at the bottom. And this is a little treasure for me. It has had a undersaddle Paizo pickup added and just a simple jack. So there's no cutouts, there's no preamp, and that was done after the fact. Not by me, but by whoever the first owner was. I got this on eBay probably about 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. It's got a clear pickguard on it, sort of like a flamenco guitar, but it is an acoustic, and you can see the style of bridge there, the string through bridge. It is an ebony fretboard, which I really like, with just the single 12th fret design there, and there's the headstock, the Alvarez headstock. It does have Alvarez Tuners on it. I thought they might be Grovers, but they're not. Cream binding, really classic guitar, just a little bit of a abalone rosette. So this is one of my Alvarez Yairi guitars. I've done a lot of recordings with this. I have a one-man band called Lunatric, and I've done probably 6-7 albums that are all on my Bandcamp page. And this is the guitar that I use most of the time for those guitar parts. Not always, but fairly often. So that's my DY84K. And then recently, probably about 5 years ago, I picked up a second Yari, and this is a real treasure indeed. This is the I think the DY91, and this is the Jaraconda rosewood, Brazilian rosewood model, and these are quite desirable. I bought this from a local violin luthier that I used to do some work for, who sadly passed away, and he sold this to me because he knew I'd take care of it. But it's really, really nice, all abalone, ebony. There's the headstock on that. This one does have Grovers on it, with the volute on the neck there. Can you see that? There's the back again. And this is Brazilian rosewood, folks. You can't get this anymore. This was called the Jaraconda model. It's fairly blingy, as you can see. It's got abalone not just on the edges, but going around the edge, the inside edge of the fretboard, the rosette. And this is also a solid spruce model as well. I believe the back and sides are solid. Ooh, a little out of tune. Lively guitar. Yeah, so these are my two Alvarez Yairi guitars made by Kazuo Yairi in Japan. There is a Saduo Yairi as well as a Kazuo Yairi, and I think the Kazuo Yairi guitars are more valuable, more desirable. They go up all the time. This thing is probably worth maybe 1,500 to 2 grand now. It is a harder model to find. There is also a normal DY90, is it 90 or 91? DY90 model, but this was the Jaraconda special that they made with the split back. So this is sort of a limited edition, which makes it even more. It has the, don't know if you can see the figure on the headstock there. It has matching figure on the headstock veneer. Brass Grover tuners. So this is probably the most valuable acoustic guitar that I own, although I like the DY84K as well, because it has electronics in it. These are both really fantastic guitars. I love Kazuo Yairi's work. For years I wanted one of these and I couldn't afford one. I kept looking and looking and looking, and I finally found the 84 being sold by an eBay seller that needed work, so I got it and fixed it up. And then I just ran into this one doing some work for a local luthier, and he wanted to let it go, so I made payments to him to get hold of this, and it's already appreciated about 200% since that, and that was only 6 years ago. So these are investments, and some of the best acoustic guitars coming out ever to come out of Japan. So I just thought I'd do a video to show those to you, because I've mentioned them before, but I don't think I've actually shown them to you. I would stack these two guitars up against anything, old Gibsons, old Martins, you name it. I think Yaris are on that level, personally, just my own personal opinion. A lot of people who are purists will say, no, you can't compare something made in Japan to something made in the US or in Nazareth, PA. I can, and I do. Although I love Martin guitars, I have an old American Martin classical from 1966, which I treasure as well. I think these Japanese made guitars from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, particularly the ones made by Kazuo Yairi, are just fantastic and are up in that echelon. Of course, he did make some more entry-level stuff, and I think Saduo Yairi, who is, I think, his nephew, I'm not quite sure, maybe somebody can correct me on that, makes decent guitars, but also more entry-level guitars as well. So his guitars aren't quite worth as much yet. They may be in the future. But anyway, just a little video on these two gems that I keep a hold of. And this one I get out every once in a while and just enjoy. I haven't done too much recording with this one, but the 85 K1, I've done quite a bit of recording with it. It's just because it has a really nice Paizo pickup on it that was mounted by a luthier, I can tell. Good quality. It's not a typical preamp or anything like that. So it has a really good sound for recording. So I've used it in quite a few recordings. But anyway, there you go. A couple of Kazuo Yairi guitars from Japan, vintage now, and quite desirable. I enjoy having them. See you next time.